Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be talking about going 50-50 in relationships. Now, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 70% of all two-parent households, both parents are working and contribute to the bills. This has been the standard since I was a kid in the 1970s. I lived in a middle-class neighborhood where all the families, both parents, worked and contributed to the bills of that household. I was the only kid in that neighborhood that my mom didn't work. So where did the idea that women today where did women today get the idea that they don't believe in 50-50 with their husbands to help pay the bills? This is something new, and it does not apply to most white families in the U.S. or other industrialized nations on the same par or equal financially on the same footing with the United States. So how did this all come about? How did this all, well, I'm not paying 50-50. I'm not going 50-50 with a man. Well, here's the understanding. If you're not going 50-50 with a man and you won't marry a man if you have to go 50-50 with him on the bills, or even 30-70, then you're going to be single. And how much of the bills are you going to be responsible for if you're single all by yourself? Here it is, 100% of the bills. So you don't want to be with a man and pay 50% of the bills or pay no bills at all, but you'll stay single and pay all the bills, pay 100% of the bill. You're responsible for 100% of the finances that come into your home if you are single. Now let's make some sense out of that real fast. So you're telling a man that you don't want him to take 50% of the burden off your hands, 50% of the pressure off your hands, 50% of the mental anguish that you have to go through trying to get the money to pay 100% of all the bills. If there's a man out there that was say to you, I will take 50% of all your troubles off your hands and put it on myself, and that leaves you with 50% of your paycheck that you can do exactly what you want to do with it. You'd rather pay 100% and be by yourself. Wow. Do the math. That's just simple math. That doesn't even make sense for anybody to even think that way. But that is the reality that we live in today in the United States and even some other countries in the world that are on par footing financially with the United States. Women today don't want to go 50-50 on the bills. So let's talk about it. Welcome to the Hear Me Out podcast with your host, S.W. Griffin. We're going to be talking about going 50-50 on bills today. So let's see what you people have to say about this. I know I got a whole lot to say about it. Hit the like and subscribe button. Hit the like and subscribe button. Let's talk about it.
If you only knew what I have in store for you, baby.
So let's get into this. I'm going to go ahead and play a clip for you real quick, and then we're going to discuss it after it plays. Let's get with it.
What's an opinion you have that might piss some people off?
Going 50-50 with a man in a healthy relationship doesn't exist. And this is going to be so controversial, but let's fucking do it. A man that is willing to go 50-50 with a woman is a man that still yet doesn't have the intention of being a financial provider. When a man says, I want my woman to provide for herself while still expecting her to raise his children, he's basically saying, I want my wife to be half of the man for me while still being all of the woman. This is an unbalanced equation of the feminine and masculine dynamic. When the woman is working to provide the other 50% while raising children, it will put her on survival mode, and she cannot fulfill her divine purpose as a mother to carry, nurture, and raise her children to be the highest reflection of their father. And then men say, I will not provide for you, I will not marry you, and I will not lead you. But I will fuck you, and if you get pregnant, we'll figure it out.
So let's approach this really from a biblical standard or perspective, rather. This woman is talking about if a man pays the bills, you have to pay half the bills with a man. Then you're taking. He wants you to be 100. The woman to be 100% woman, but he being half a man. That is not a biblical concept according to the Bible. Now, I'm gonna read something for you, and then I'm gonna get into it really, really heavy later on. But I'm gonna just start with the basics of. And out of the ground, the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the earth, of the air, and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all the cattle, and to all the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found an helpmeet for him. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from Adam made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, This is now bone of my bones, and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Now, if you notice, from verse 20, it says that God brought all the animals to Adam, and Adam named them. He gave them names, but God says, but for Adam there was not found a helpmeet. Now, what is a helpmeet? What is a helpmeet? A helpmeet is someone that God has brought into a man's life, a woman that will help him fulfill his calling. That is the perspective, that is the predominant issue that women were created for. They were created to be a helpmeet to a man so that he could perform what he was called to do, what God had called him to do, and she was to help him in doing that. So, God looking at the situation from his viewpoint, okay, there's lions and tigers and bears, oh my, and they all have helpmeets. They all have female bears, female lions, and lionesses, and all the other animals of the field had female partners, but Adam, there was none. So God called her a helpmeet. When he created the woman, she was to be a helpmeet. What is a helpmeet? She is to help him fulfill his vision and call on his life that God has called him to do. That is where a woman is most happiest, when she is with a man who has a vision and she's helping him fulfill his call and his vision for his life. That is what she was created to, also to help procreate and bring more people and replenish the earth. And we'll get into that in another video deeper. But for right now, I'm going to just keep it simple. So, Adam slept, and God took a rib out and made the woman and brought him to Adam and Adam said, now this is last, my bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. Well, if Adam didn't like Eve, he could have said, oh, Lord, I'm not pleased with that. And God would have made another woman. God would have put Adam to sleep again and pulled another rib out and made another woman. But God got it right the first time, which he always does. Now, this woman that you just heard in the video says it's not a balanced equation for a woman to help the man pay the bills plus take care of the kids. Look, you got it all wrong. It's both of you helping out in all things. And he is the head of the household. God created man to be the head of the household. He is the prophet, the priest. He is the leader. He is the high priest of the home. And a woman's job is to help him fulfill his calling in the home and help him procreate and bring offspring into the world. Well, this woman is saying, this ain't right. I'm not doing that. Well, if you're not doing that, then you're not doing your part. Now, I'm going to get into this a little deeper, but I'm going to play one more video for you, and then I'm going to get into this really, really deep and show you how silly and how out of place the world has become in believing in this falsehood that women shouldn't help their man pay bills and do things in the home. That is just illogical and it's unbiblical, and I'm going to prove it to you through the Bible. Because the only real person that really matters in this equation and what they think about all this is God. His opinion is the only opinion that really matters. This might be pissing some people off right now, but it is what it is. God's opinion and how he set up things to work is the only opinion that matters. My opinion doesn't matter. Your opinion doesn't matter. God's opinion is the only opinion that matters in how he structured this thing and how it's supposed to work. So let's listen to this next video and then we'll get into it.
I cannot be bought, period. Okay? I cannot be bought, period, especially when it comes to the illusion of romance, because I cannot find security outside of myself. I cannot find love outside of myself. Love already lives inside. All of the answers are within me. So I will be damned to settle for 50-50, especially when I can just get me a roommate. You are asking for my body. You are asking for my time. You are asking for my soul just so I can kiki with you, just so you can take me on a dinner date, so you can penetrate? Absolutely not. That is something that does not align with the lifestyle that I am pursuing.
Priceless. It's priceless, all right. You can't even sell that stupid, idiotic stuff. Look, what she's saying is that she'd rather have a roommate and pay half of things instead of having a man and a husband. So what do you think you're going to be doing with your roommate if you ain't got no man? You ain't going to be making no babies with no roommate. Now you might be getting licked, but you ain't making no babies. You ain't procreating. So look, that's silly. That's silly. Now, here's the thing that I want to bring up about feminism and the whole feminist movement. Wasn't feminism about women having the same rights as men? Being able to contribute like men contribute? What happened to that whole thing? Now, feminism has evolved into, I'm the woman, I'm the prize, so you got to take care of me, and if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to stay single. And I'll pay half the bills, pay all my bills by myself. Well, isn't that what you guys fought for? Isn't that what feminism fought for? Isn't that what it fought for? Isn't that what you women fought for in the long run? To be equal with men, to have the same privileges as men have, to be able to have your own destiny, mow your own grass, do your own laundry, which you do pretty much anyway, but cook your own meals, go work in the factories just like men, work in the sewers just like men, build buildings just like men. Now, I grant you, none of the women today do the jobs that I'm talking about. They don't work, they don't build bridges, they don't build buildings. They do not do any of that. Many of them aren't firemen or policemen. 98% of all policemen and firemen are still men. Most construction workers are still men. They build the bridges, they build the houses, they maintain the roads, they maintain the purification plants for our water and sewage and everything like that. It's 98% men. So, since the feminist movement began, women have not moved into the territory of doing the same jobs as men. What do they choose? They choose the humanities. They choose social workers. They choose secretaries. They do not opt in for the jobs, what we call STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. They do not go into those fields in droves. Even though it's all changed now, They're able to get into those programs just like anybody else is. They're able to get into those programs, but they don't. They still choose the comfy, cushy jobs. Now they may become an attorney or something like that. That doesn't demand any hard labor or anything. Just thinking faculties. You got to be a good thinker, but they're not getting into the jobs. You don't see any women working on oil rigs. And oil rigs, I mean, them dudes make for $30,000-$40,000 a month out there on those oil rig platforms, spinning those big poles that drill into the ocean and get the oil out. You don't see women doing those type of jobs. Those guys make excellent money, but it's hard work. It is not easy work, and you don't see women doing that. But the feminist movement says that you're equal with us in every way, but yet the women have not gotten into the jobs that require the strength of hands and the labor that men do. Men still maintain the infrastructure in this country. That's just the way that it is, and that's the way it's going to be. But here's something that you need to understand is that if you're going to claim that you don't want to be a helpmate to a man, you're out of order. And here's how I'm going to prove it to you. I'm proving it to you to the Bible. And it's a real simple thing. If you go to Proverbs, the 31st chapter, starting at verse 10, this is what God says is a perfect woman that he sees as a perfect woman to God. This is God wrote this. I didn't write it. So don't get mad at me. But Proverbs 31, chapter 31, starting at verse 10. Listen to this. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant ships. She bringeth her food from afar. She riseth up also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She considereth a field, and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengtheneth her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hands to the poor. Yea, she reaches forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchants. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful, beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her be blessed. It doesn't say that, but that's what it means. Let her be blessed. So here's the thing that I just read that modern women don't want to see. Is that a virtuous woman is a blessing to her man. She's a working woman. She works with her hands. This woman that God is talking about here is a bountiful woman that is always busy doing things concerning her own household. How many women today that you can see these internet stories where they're tearing down their own home? A woman that'll tear down her own home is a fool. She's a fool. And I done seen a lot of women tear down their own homes. Tear them down. Tear them up. Wreck their own homes. A woman that'll wreck and tear up her own home is a bountiful fool. She has foolishness without bounds, and you need to stay away from women like that. See, you can't be happy outside of the will of God and not fulfilling your calling as a woman or as a man. Now, why did God put this scripture in here? Because he wanted women to know what their calling is, what their duty is. And this woman was dedicated to maintaining her home, working with her hands, feeding her children, giving to the poor. She was a diligent woman. And a diligent woman doesn't have time to go out and sit with these pissy little women with all this immaturity, gossiping and complaining. A woman that is busy like this woman is in Proverbs 31, verse 10 through 31. She's a busy woman, and she ain't got time for the foolishness that you women do today. You sit around and you gossip. And there's an old saying. The old saying is this: single women keep single women single. Let me say that again. Single women, comma, keep single women, comma, single. Emphasis. A single group of women will keep all of you single because they're not diligent women. A woman that has been raised right and taught right is a diligent woman, working with her hands, keeping her household together. And this woman talking about she ain't gonna do this and she ain't gonna do that, and talking about being fucked and all that stupid stuff, which is really silly. I'd just get me a roommate. Well, get your roommate. Look. The statistics show that by the year 2045, 50% of all women will be single. Now, you went from the feminist movement to women wanting to be equal with men and be able to do whatever a man does, which is not possible, to now they don't want to do anything. They feel that they're the prize. Well, if you're the prize, then why haven't anybody bought the prize? Why haven't anybody bought a ticket to purchase the prize? See, if you're the prize, prizes don't stay by themselves. Somebody purchases a prize. Someone spends money on a prize. Someone puts a ring on a prize. Someone says, I do to a prize. If you're a prize, where's the man that's saying, will you marry me? Getting down on one knee with a ring saying, will you marry me? Will you marry me? If that isn't happening, you're not the prize. You're not the prize. See, the thing is, I'm going to bring up Solomon. Solomon was the richest man to ever live. The richest man to ever live. I mean, he had gold out the wazoo. Silver was a common thing in his kingdom, and it was said that silver was so common that they piled it up in mounds outside the kingdom, outside the city. I don't know how true that is, but that's just some speculations of what scholars have believed happened in Solomon's kingdom with the type of money that Solomon had. He was the richest man to ever live. So, how is it that the richest man to ever live ended up with 1,000 wives, 700 regular wives, and 300 concubines, which were actually wives, but secondary wives? See, the rule of thumb back in biblical times was if a woman had a handmaiden and she married a man, then he had access to her handmaiden too. It is the same situation with Abraham and Sarah. Sarah gave Abraham his handmaiden to have sex with her so they could have a children. Because he was legally able to be with her handmaiden too. That's how things work. And this is how Solomon got 300 concubines. These 700 women had handmaidens. And so in the biblical times, when you married the woman, you also had access to her handmaiden. She was a secondary wife in a sense. So you tell me, why did the richest man in the world have 700 wives and 300 concubines? And they were all beautiful. They were all drop dead gorgeous. How did that happen? How did one man end up with 700 wives and 300 concubines, 1,000 women, all of them drop dead gorgeous? How did that happen? Were they the prize or were he the prize? He was the prize. Why? Because he had it all. He had everything. He had everything out the wazoo. And so these women lived in his palace and they wanted for nothing. The Bible talks about what his food in the household, how much his food came to every day in his kingdom, in his own household. They talked about how big his palace was, lined with gold bathtubs and sinks and washing bowls and gold cups. And why did 1,000 women want to be? Because they knew that they were going to get taken care of. They knew it. They knew it. But here, God is explaining to us what a real virtuous woman is. And you don't hear any women talking about Proverbs 31, chapter 10, verse 31. They don't talk about that. You know why? Because it is a guidepost. It is a lamp. It is a light to how women are to conduct themselves in the home and in the community. And women today don't want to do that. They want to hang with their friends and yap. That nigga. Well, if you want to do that, fine. But see, this woman that God is writing about here, she had a fulfilled life. And her kids loved her. Her husband praised her. Everybody in the community knew who she was. And they wanted a woman just like that. And that's why God spoke about this woman the way that he did, because he was pleased with her and how she conducted herself with wisdom day in and day out, and she attended to her household. See, if you look at the statistics, they're saying by the year 2045, 50% of all women will be single. Now, let's talk about the black community. Black females have the lowest marriage rate out of any group of women. They only married 26% at a rate of 26%. The next group of women are white women, 54%. Now, white women marry at a 54%. That's over half of them will get married. But black women, only 26%. So that means only 1 out of 4 or 5 females in their lifetime in the black community, black women, will ever get married. And with this crazy stuff that these women are talking about nowadays, it's going to get worse. It's going to drop to 1 out of every 10 pretty soon. It will soon be 1 out of every 10 black women will ever get married. So they're going to be they're going to be living by themselves, paying all the bills by themselves. They're going to have a cat or a dog, and they're going to have a bottle of wine at night, rubbing their cat or petting their dog, drowning themselves in their own sorrows with their loneliness. And this is a true thing. They are saying that major banks are investing in pet food, cat food, and wine, because they realize by the year 2045, women are going to be going to have pets, and they're going to have wine as their buddies at home at night by themselves because they're not going to be married. They're going to be single with a cat or a dog and a bottle of wine, pacifying their misery, drowning in their sorrows at home alone at night when they get off work. That is sane. That is insane. That's insane. You hear me? So, if you want to keep listening to these women talk crazy, that's what you're going to get. But I'm going to wrap this up and I'm going to play you some more videos and I'm going to talk a little bit more. So, let's watch this next.
Ladies, let me tell y'all something. Have you noticed? Do you see that only in the black community we have to discuss 50-50 paying the bills with these men on the earth? Y'all notice that, baby? Baby, let me tell y'all something. I remember I was paying 50-50 bills in my goddamn marriage. And I didn't mind helping when I needed. But guess what? Once I stopped paying 50-50 bills in the marriage, he started doing whatever he wanted to do with his money. He wasn't taking the family out. He wasn't taking me out on dates. It was no togetherness. It was just 50-50 on the bills. Anytime you see a man want to do 50-50 and not take care of the full family by himself, he has an agenda. Bitch, that money going to somebody else. And if he don't have enough motherfucking money, he shouldn't even have another motherfucking family.
So, first and foremost, I do understand that there's men out here that use women just like there's women who use men. There's no siding with genders here, nothing like that. The reason why I'm making this video is because you guys come online and complain about the men you guys chose. So when you guys are married and have kids with them, shouldn't you take the time to learn these people a lot more? And then I do have another question for a lot of women. I will never sit here and say that men who want to go 50-50 with you guys are using you, can't stand you, things like that. And the reason why I say that is because there's not men who can obtain 6 figures. Not everybody in the world can obtain 6 figures, just like not everybody could be an influencer. If that was the case, everybody would be doing it. It's not easily obtainable. Half of y'all have never even seen 6 figures, and I don't mean this to be rude. And the reason why I'm saying this is because a lot of women get bothered at the fact that some men can't do the same thing that other men can do, but they'll put those men down and make it seem as if those men don't want to help y'all. I guarantee you there's a lot of men out here that if they could and they made 6 figures, they probably would take care of y'all. You're coming on here projecting your stuff, trying to encourage other women not to do 50-50 because your ex treated you like crap. What does that have to do with us? Why are we generalizing? You women complain that men say we're all the same, but y'all do the same thing to men. Just because you came encounter with one guy who did the 50-50 with you and treated you like crap, does that mean every man who does 50-50 is going to treat you like crap? No. And I will say this, I have money, y'all. I'm not going to say I'm the richest person on earth, but I have money. Do I mind going 50-50? No, I don't. Do I mind going traditional? No, I don't. I could do both. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. I feel like...
Now, this first chick with the blonde hair, the black blonde, I call them Black Marilyn Monroe's. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. She think black women with blonde wigs just irk me to no end. I'm like, doggone it. Everybody knows that's not your real color. You're not a black blonde. It's a wig, or you've dyed your hair blonde. Look, a white woman that's a brunette can get away with dyeing her hair blonde because there's plenty of blonde women that are white women are born with blonde hair. So they can get away with it. Madonna can get away with dyeing her hair blonde, even though she was never really a real blonde. But she had the Blonde Ambition tour back in the day, and she did the little video acting like Marilyn Monroe. And I get it. It makes sense. But a black woman with blonde hair, Black Marilyn Monroe. Now, what if us brothers start putting on blonde wigs? You look how ridiculous I'd look in a blonde wig. Well, that's how you black women look in blonde wigs. I'm pissing some people off right now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh my God. Let me play that.
Happy
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you.
Okay, so she was the black blonde. She was talking about going 50-50 with her husband, and then all of a sudden she didn't want to go 50-50 with me no more. And so he quit taking her out and doing things. Well, there's a reason for that. He probably felt that she was no longer with the program of them building a life together. And going 50-50 is not the end of the world. And so she says she's doing better now by herself, but she ain't got no husband. And the actuality of her actually getting another husband is slim to none, especially being a black blonde. I'm sorry, but that's just terrible. But the 50-50 thing is just, it's just burning people up, burning black women up, because white women do it all the time. They go 50-50 with their man and they don't have a problem with it. But these black women today, they just thinking that the stuff, they need to be pampered. They need to be the spoiled princess and pampered. And it don't work like that. I've already read you the scripture in Proverbs about the Proverbs 31 woman, the virtuous woman. Who can find a virtuous woman? And that woman worked with her hands. She tended to her household. She minded her own business. She wasn't in the street listening to no single broke women who ain't got no husband. See, that's another thing. You women out there that are married, you ain't got no freaking business hanging around no single women. You are married. Your business now is your home. Your business now is your husband, your children, your household. That is to all that you should be concentrating on. Your friends that are still single, that's their problem. That ain't your problem no more. And you don't need to be trying to be like them anymore and trying to have them talk to you and tell them what they think is good for you. Because if they knew, they'd have a husband. But they don't have a husband. They don't have a husband for a reason. And this is why the old saying goes, single women keep single women, comma, single. I'll say it again one more time. Single women, comma, keep single women, comma, single. I put the commas in there so it be emphasized that you are single, and as long as you hanging around a bunch of single women taking advice from a bunch of single women, you're going to remain single. Free and single. So listening to these internet 304s talking about they ain't going 50-50 with a man. Well, they're going to go 50-50. If they got a roommate, they're going to go 50-50. So if you're going to have a roommate and you're going 50-50, you might as well have a husband and go 50-50 with him. Because what he's doing is he's taking 50% of the burden, the pressure, and all the worries off your hand, and the financial pressure and all the worries off your hand. And that leaves you with 50% of your paycheck that you can do what you want with it. Okay? But if you don't see it that way, do the math. If you're living by yourself and you paying 100%, you ain't saving no money. Not unless you making over six figures. And most women and most people in this country don't make six figures. That's just the thick of it. That's just the thick of it, as Jar Binks would say from Star Wars. With more humility. That's the thick of it. So, but you have to understand that people are going to say crazy stuff. Now, the other girl that was talking, she put it on the line that was doing the video that had the black blonde in the video. She put things in perspective. Most people in this country don't make over six figures. In fact, 10% or less of the population makes six figures a year. There are only about 5 to 3% of people in this country that make over $300,000 to $375,000 a year. So, what are the chances of? Let me put it in these terms so you can really understand. There are 42.8 to 43 million single women in this country. All right. There are only 3 to 5% of men that make over $250,000 to $300,000 a year. So you think that every single freaking woman is going to get a man making that much money? It's not happening. Do the math. You need to do the math. That's not going to happen. There is not enough men in this country that make that type of money for every single woman to get a man like that. And there's even less black men that make that type of money. Now, the average white guy in this country makes $50,000 a year. The average black guy in this country makes $42,000 a year. There aren't many black men that make over $300,000 a year unless they're playing professional sports or they own their own business, they're a contractor. And these are the people that most black women are turning their nose up. You got a guy who drives a Ford pickup truck who's a contractor, has his own contracting business, and he's making over 6 figures a year, but they don't want to deal with him because he ain't wearing a suit all the time. That's just stupidity. That's the stupidity of some women. And if you're going to be that stupid, you deserve to be alone. You deserve to be alone. It doesn't make sense. And the one sister in this video, she was talking about there ain't that many. She's right. There aren't that many men that there aren't that many people in the country, period, that make 6 figures. So where are you women getting off thinking that if a guy ain't making 6 figures, you ain't going to do it? Well, you're going to be alone. You're going to be alone. Oh, you don't want to go 50-50 with a guy that makes $60,000, $70,000 a year? You're going to be alone. You're going to be alone. And that's why men are not opting to date nowadays, because your expectations are out of this world. They're unrealistic. Let me give you some more figures. There are 1,000 billionaires in this country. 1,000. 99.5% of those 1,000 billionaires are men. 98% of them are already married or are already engaged to be married. So where does that leave you? You think you're going to marry a billionaire? You got as much chance of marrying a billionaire as you do hitting the lottery. Your chances of hitting the lottery is almost the same as marrying a billionaire. It's stupid. It's stupid. You got to wake up, women. The math isn't on your side to get a guy that's a high earner. The math isn't there. Those guys make $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year, and you can have a decent life with a guy like that. See, most of the women that I see on the internet that want a guy to make 6 figures, they don't make 6 figures themselves. They don't make it, but yet they're expecting the guy that they married to make it. And there's not many men in this country, black or white, that make 6 figures. That's just the thick of it. And you're just going to have to realize that and accept those facts. And you're going to come across a guy that makes $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year. And you're going to thumb your nose up at him and he's a good guy and you can build a life with him. Then guess what? You desire and you turn him down. You deserve to be alone. That's your fate. You have sealed your fate. And no one's going to cry. No one's going to cry when you're old and you have nobody and you're at home with your cat and a bottle of wine drying on yourselves in your sorrows. But the banks, they're investing money in cat food and dog food and wine. So they're going to be happy. They're going to be okay. That CEO at the bank, oh yeah, our cat food sales and wine sales is really skyrocketing. There's a lot of single women in the home drowning themselves in a bottle of wine with a cat. Do you want to be one of those women? Well, go ahead. Go ahead. Look. One more video, and I'm going to let you go, okay? Check this.
Listen, I think they're taking a 50-50 too literal. Because when you're in a relationship, you work together.
I think what she was saying that when you're in a relationship, you work together, so they're taking the 50-50 thing too literal, but they do it on purpose because they think that they're the prize and they should be the princess, the side seat princess in a big Rolls Royce and everything, and watching some of these gold digging videos with London's Way and the different people that do these gold digger videos. The one common thing that most of the women say is they don't even want to cook. Some of them don't even want to cook. They want a chef. They want to stay at home, spend the money all day long, go on shopping sprees every day, and go on trips out the country and spend all the man's money. Well, ain't no man gonna put up with that. No real man is gonna put up with that, and you're just delusional that you think that a man is going to put up with it. I just wrote a book, and this is my 7th novel, and it's called The Gold Digger Killer. And it deals with some really rough stuff. It's a really, really rough book that it's going to be coming out pretty soon. And I'll be doing some advertising with that on some of my other videos coming up pretty soon. But people need to understand that the numbers does not prove out that every woman who thinks that they can get a high value man that's making 6 figures and they can sit at home and do nothing, eat bonbons all day. It just ain't happening. It's not possible. There aren't enough men to go around. If you take, let me say this. I put this in my book. In Los Angeles, in Orange County, in the greater Los Angeles area, there's about 3 million single women. And there's about 2.5 to 2.8 million single men. And out of those 2.5 to 2.8 single men, there's only about 7,000 men total that make 6 figures or more. There's only about 7,000. I did the math. It's only about 7,000 men in the greater Los Angeles area that make 6 figures or more. Now, how in the hell are all 3 million of those single women out there think that they're going to get a man that makes over 6 figures? There ain't enough of them to go around. And these men have the pick of the litter because they have options. They have options. And if you ain't an 8, 9, or a 10 and got something on the ball, you're not getting picked. You're not getting picked. A man that has that many women at his disposal and he has millions of options. Not only those 7,000 men that make over 6 figures, some of them make over a million, but over all of them, there's only about 7,000 to make over 6 figures. They got options that they can choose from around the world, women around the world that they can choose from because they're the rarity. They are a scarcity. They are rare. Men that make that type of money are rare. So, they can choose from any beautiful woman across this nation or around the world. So there's not enough of men that make that type of money to go around to please every woman. Like I said, there's 42.8 to 43 million single women in the United States. All of you cannot get a high value man that makes a lot of money. The math isn't there. And if you think that you're going to get one, then you are delusional with a capital D. Delusional. You live in a delusional world. A world that's delusional. You are deluding yourself. You are delusional. It just doesn't work that way. It won't work that way, and it never will. Men that make that type of money are rare. It is a rarity, and they have plenty of options to choose from. They have plenty. And if you ain't a 9, 8, 9, or a 10, a beautiful body, beautiful face, and got some class going on, and you're even if you are, an 8, 9, or 10, and you're a bum, and you just want a man to take care of you, he's going to pass you by. He's going to pass you by because you bring no value to his life. You bring no value. No value. Now, let me say one thing about entertainers in sport and men in sports. Entertainers in sports are on a different level. They don't have the same values as corporate American men do. Men who are rich that work in corporate America have a different, most of them, I'll say that, most of them have a different value system. They choose a different type of beautiful woman. See, you don't find a guy like Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos picking a woman with a bunch of tattoos. I don't care how pretty she is. They don't go for stuff like that. Men in corporate America that are in high paying positions, they don't want a woman with tattoos. They don't want a woman with rings in her nose. They don't want any of that because it is worthless to them. It lowers their value to their comrades that are in the same industry that they are. It hurts their value. And if you are a woman with a bunch of tattoos and a ring in your nose and all that other stuff, they're going to pass you right by because it does nothing for their reputation. In fact, it ruins their reputation because he brings you to a high function at work and they say, well, when the hell you get her from with all those tattoos? What is she, the illustrated woman? You ever seen a movie called The Illustrated Man starring Rod Steiger? He had all these tattoos on him. And when people look at the tattoos, they would see visions of things. And it was a crazy movie. I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it, but I seen it years ago. And it was just interesting in that point that he had all these different tattoos on him. And people would look into the tattoos and they see flames and visions and things like that. Really strange movie starring Rod Steiger. But men in corporate, see, and athletes, they put up with that stuff. Athletes and entertainers and musicians, they don't care if a woman got tattoos. They don't care. They do not care. They don't care. Their moral system is different. Their moral values are different. Athletes and entertainers have a different moral standard than people who make a lot of money in corporate America. It's just a fact. And if you are trying to get a rich guy that works in corporate America who makes a whole lot of money and you got tattoos, I don't care how pretty your face is, he sees those tattoos, most likely he's going to walk right by you. He's going to walk right by you because you are a detriment. You are a detriment to his reputation and his character. That's just the way it is. So, if you don't want to go 50-50 with a man, believe me this. Hear me out. Hear what I got to say. Your chances of getting a man that makes over 6 figures a year are very slim because there aren't that many of them. They are the prize. You may think you're the prize, but they're the prize. They have options. They have options of plenty of beautiful women all over the world. If you take the 43 million women in this country and you narrow it down to 8, 9s, and 10s, there are at least 4 million of these women, 4 million of these women that are 8, 9s, and 10s. So if you're not in that category, he's not even going to pick you. He's not going to pick you. And if you are 8, 9, or 10 and you got tattoos all over you, he's definitely walking by you. I hate to break the news to you, ladies and gentlemen, but tattoos are a detriment to men in corporate America. And there's also, I'll give you a biblical reason for it too. In Leviticus 19:28, I think it is, chapter 19, verse 28 says, do not put cuttings and marks on your body to honor the dead, nor tattoos, for I am the Lord. See, God was against the Israelites, you putting tattoos on their bodies, because it was offensive to him. Why would you want to mark up your body that I created And every cell, it's a fact, every cell in the human body has his initials, has Yahweh ingrained in the cell. He's already tattooed your cells. So why would you put a tattoo of a fish or some stupid see, God is against that. People need to understand the Bible is against tattoos because it's a sign of rebellion. It's a sign that they don't respect God and his authority. And so God didn't want the children of Israel being like the other nations that were around them, had tattoos and had false gods and false idols and all this stuff. I'm telling you the truth. You need to understand this, ladies. I'm trying to tell you. See, I don't have tattoos. I don't have any. I used to have one ring in my ear, but I had to quit wearing it years ago because I worked at a place and we shipped a lot of expensive jewelry and they didn't want us wearing earrings. And I got tired of just going to work with the earring, having to pull the earring out before I go to work and then come back home and put it back in. It was just a waste of time. So I just quit wearing it altogether just to save myself the trouble. But so you need to understand what you're up against when you talk, because the chances are most of you women out there are not going to run into an entertainer, an actor, or a singer, or some rich star that will accept that. See, the entertainers and athletes, rich athletes, they accept that type of stuff. They accept the woman walking down the street with her ass showing, like Jennifer Lopez. But a guy in corporate America, Jennifer Lopez walking in the Oscars and with her ass out and all that, he ain't gonna accept that. He's not even thinking about a woman like that because the way she dresses is a detriment to his reputation. So athletes and entertainers are on a whole different level from corporate America. Their standards are lower. Their standards in choosing women are lower. So that's all I have for you today, folks. 50-50. You better think about going 50-50 or consider living life alone. And if you're happy paying all the bills by yourself, living by yourself, or having a roommate, great. Get you a female roommate and y'all can do whatever y'all want. Y'all want to lick each other. That's probably what's going to end up happening anyway. I'm not saying all women are like that, but look. The future is this. Either you get with the program and find a man and be happy with that man, or you got options. You can be alone, die alone, or you can become a lesbian. That's right, I said it. You can become a lesbian. In fact, the group of women that has the highest growth of lesbianism is black women. Black women have the highest percentage of lesbians than any other ethnic group, according to the number of black people, percentage-wise. They have the highest percentage of lesbians. Think about it. The truth hurts, but I'm the truth detector and I'm going to tell the truth. I ain't here to make friends. I'm here to tell the truth. If you like the video, hit the like and subscribe button. God bless. Have a great, great, great day.